Hello and greetings from sunny Harlow in Essex. I hope you're well and that you stay well. We were so sorry not to be able to come together on Monday night for our Spring Funder at T. Rowe Price. Thank you to the many of you who had registered to attend. We had 3 excellent charities who had been through the selection process and done the preparation for the event, and we were determined to try and find a way to let them show you their work, even though we couldn't go ahead with the event. So, thanks to T. Rowe Price, we have been able to produce these 3 very short videos of their presentations, including some photos of their work and their sponsor's message. I hope that you will take less than 30 minutes to watch the 3 of them and then to consider supporting them. I think you will be inspired by their work, impressed by their resilience, and perhaps most excitingly, their willingness to adapt to this particular difficult moment in time. In them you will see the kind of organisations and leaders that we are going to need more than ever when this crisis passes to support the vulnerable people in our communities. Please consider supporting them. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you at an event very soon. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Dermot. Today I'm asking you to fund Just Treatment, a group that will ensure the medicines and vaccines we need to fight COVID-19 are free for everybody at risk, and make sure NHS staff get the funding and support they need. I hope you and your loved ones are okay in these really difficult times. Thanks so much for taking time out to watch this and the other pitches. Just Treatment works with patients who have life-threatening illnesses like breast cancer, hepatitis C and cystic fibrosis. We support those patients and their families to come together and articulate what they need so they can get the care and support they deserve. We're still young, but we've already had a massive impact. I want to start by sharing one of our most important successes so far, helping Christina and her son get the treatment he needs. You might recognise him from the papers and This Morning and Victoria Derbyshire last year.
Hi, my son Lewis is 9 years old and he has cystic fibrosis, a life-limiting genetic condition. For over 3 years we fought for a new medicine that at over £100,000 per year per patient for life was understandably too expensive for the NHS. Our desperate pleas and those of thousands of other families across the country just weren't making a difference, so we turned to Just Treatment.
I'm Lewis. I'm 8 years old and I've got cystic fibrosis. I get infections in my lungs and it makes it difficult to breathe. I have to go to hospital, miss school and do hours of nebulizers, physio and medicines every day. Even on Christmas Day and my birthday. I get out of breath a lot when I'm running around with my friends. A drug called Oblique could help me breathe better. It could stop me getting poorly so often, and I mean I don't have to spend so much time in hospital. But it's too expensive, so the NHS can't afford it. I've been to the Prime Minister and the FedEx. Dear Mrs. Hunt, you have the meds so that can make me feel much better and not have to spend so much time in hospital. I've been in the newspapers and on the TV. But nothing has changed. Nobody has helped. Plan A isn't working, so I need your help for Plan B.
So Just Treatment worked with us and around 10 other families, putting patients at the heart of the situation and empowering us to be more effective in what we did. They helped us build a strategy that put pressure on politicians and the drug company, and it worked. When the government accepted that things needed to change and that it had a responsibility, eventually the drug company dropped its price, and now Lewis and thousands of other patients across the country have access to the medicines they need. And as Lewis is now thriving, it's made a life-changing difference to us. So we're incredibly grateful for Just Treatment. And we'd just like to say a big...
Thank you, Just Treatment!
Thank you, Just Treatment.
Thanks a lot.
I'm incredibly proud we were able to help Christina and Lewis win cross-party support for their campaign. We've proven that our model of building the power of people directly affected by a health injustice can win change that everyone thought was impossible. Well, the NHS is facing its biggest ever challenge with the COVID-19 pandemic. Who will get access to the vaccines and treatments? How do we ensure everyone gets equal access to care? How do we invest in our NHS so doctors and nurses can do their jobs properly? We'd planned to spend this year working with people impacted by underfunding of mental health services. Then everything changed, and our patient leaders and NHS staff on the front line asked us to step up. We're ready to do that and make sure the voices of patients are at the heart of the debate. Over the last week, we've developed a powerful new strategy to build a patient-led movement to respond to the pandemic. We want to firstly find the people most affected by the current crisis. 2, bring them together online to campaign for key changes like equal access to the vaccine and long-term investment in the NHS. 3, we want to train these patients and those groups so they're able to speak in the media, and we want to give them access to world-class tech so they can organise online together. And ultimately, we want to win lasting changes for them and thousands of others who rely on the NHS. I'm going to be honest with you, Just Treatment runs on a shoestring. To deliver everything we're being asked to do, we need to find about £50,000 more. That's why your contribution to that could really save lives. Specifically, the money you give will support our brand new organisers who started this week to find and work with people directly affected. It'll help us buy the powerful new tech we need to bring people together online as we're all social distancing, and it'll cover the essential expenses of organising all of these participants. Alongside financial contributions, we'd love to get offers of help from people who know a bit about tech and web and people who understand charity fundraising. Thank you in advance for any support you can offer. These are uncertain times, but I believe that through solidarity, we can build a collective response that saves lives and builds a better future from this moment of darkness. We can make COVID-19's lasting legacy a stronger NHS that safeguards everyone's right to health. Well, as you've heard, we are changing everything about what we're doing in response to this, but that's because COVID-19 overlaps completely with all the stuff that we already see to be really, really critically important and questions we were already trying to answer. So, who pays for the development of new medicines? How do we guarantee everybody gets fair access to them? How do we ensure our NHS is properly funded and patients are getting the care that they deserve? All of those things are being directly impacted by COVID-19. So we're changing a lot of stuff. We're also making lots of changes internally to make sure that we've got the systems in place so that our staff are supported and our patient leaders are supported, and protecting them in the work that they're doing. After that, we'll go back to plan A again and get on with all the other challenges facing the NHS today. I guess I would say quite simply, I don't think anything else works quite as well as this. I spent 10 years working in the AIDS movement, trying to make sure people around the world got access to HIV treatment, and that movement saved millions of lives by centering its work on the lives of and leadership of people living with HIV. But I realised, like in the UK, that wasn't really happening in the same way. We started Just Treatment to build up that patient leadership, because we recognise it brings like a power and a moral authority that is really difficult to withstand. And we've already won campaigns with it and generated unprecedented coverage, but we've been operating on a shoestring. And with your support, we can scale up, because God knows with the NHS in this current state, it really desperately needs the leadership of people like the patients we work with.
Hello there, Michael Maynard here. Can you imagine what it's like to have a life-threatening disease and know that there are drugs out there that can help, but you can't get them because the NHS can't afford to pay the prices the pharmaceutical companies charge? Well, Just Treatment enables and empowers people to lobby and persuade and change things so that people can have access to the treatment that they need. We're all feeling incredibly vulnerable right now, so you can imagine how important this is. They're about just treatment, that's fair treatment, which we all deserve, and certainly the most vulnerable in our society. So please join me. I'll pledge the first £300. It's a real typical TFN project, this. It can save lives.
I'm Fiona Spargo-Mabbs, and I'm the director and founder of the Daniel Spargo-Mabbs Foundation, which is a drug and alcohol education charity that I founded 6 years ago when my younger son Dan died. He was 16, he took some MDMA, and unfortunately he didn't get to come home again. And we started the charity because we wanted to make sure we were doing everything we could to stop any harm happening to anybody else's child, because it's just so unnecessary. As a small charity in the face of coronavirus, we're adapting what we do to make sure we can keep delivering drug education to young people and making sure we're in a strong position to be ready to go out and about again as soon as we possibly can. But the reason I'm pitching is because we really want to take the play that tells Dan's story to Edinburgh. We started the charity because when Dan died, we realised an awful lot of things. One was, if somebody like Dan can get caught up in something that can go quite so badly wrong, then anybody can. Drugs are so much more available, accessible, affordable, and just not a big deal to young people in a way that they used to be in my young day. We also realised that most schools are really struggling to do drug education, and so young people are facing decisions about drugs on an increasingly regular basis as they get older without being well armed enough to make those choices safely. Unfortunately, the need for what we've been doing has grown over the last 6 years that we've been doing it. The most recent government data shows that 38% of 15-year-olds said that they had tried illegal drugs. 4 years ago, that was 24%. In 2018, 38% of 11 to 15-year-olds said they had not had a drug education lesson in the last year. All the data is going in the wrong direction. But the good news is there's lots that can be done. And that's what we've been really busy doing through our drug education programme over the last 6 years, resourcing young people, resourcing their teachers, their parents and carers in every which way we can. And everything we do is offered free to state schools because budgets are so tight, and we don't ever want costs to be a barrier to us being able to work with young people. And just in this last academic year, we spoke to around 27,000 young people at well over 400 workshops. Nearly 10,000 students had our drug education lessons. Around 1,800 parents and carers came to drugs awareness sessions, and our work has just grown and grown and grown, almost entirely through word of mouth and recommendation, from our little kitchen table in Croydon right across the UK, and we're now working with around 400 schools, colleges, community organisations. We've been evaluating what we do from the start. It's always been so important to know that what we're doing is effective, not only through our own internal evaluations, but through being associate members of the University of Middlesex, where the Drug and Alcohol Research Centre is based. And a core part of what we do is the play, and that's what I'm here for now. We commissioned award-winning playwright Mark Wheeler to write a play about Dan. Two of Mark Wheeler's plays are GCSE drama set texts, and Mark has written just this incredibly powerful play about Dan that has a way of engaging young people and getting into their heads and hearts like nothing else. It's a verbatim play, and one of the things that young people tell us is so powerful about it is that every single word in the play is the actual word that was spoken by one of Dan's friends or one of his family members. It's a true story, and it's a story that could be anyone's story. That play was published by Bloomsbury 3 years ago, which is amazing. All over the world, young people are studying and performing Dan's play. We also wanted his play, though, to be a part of our drug education work. And so we commissioned Mark to adapt it to tour. So he shortened it to fit into school timetables. He's did it for a touring company of 4 actors. And it's just finished a little bit earlier than planned, thanks to coronavirus. Its 4th professional tour of London schools. Performances are followed by interactive drug and education workshops. It's a theatre and education production. And at this stage, it should have reached nearly 55,000 young people. We really want to take that play to Scotland, where the drug death data is just huge. It's the biggest in Europe, the biggest on record, and the harm that drugs are doing is so significant. We know what we do works in London and across England, and we want to scale that up and adapt it to fit the Scottish curriculum and the Scottish context. So we've commissioned a theatre and education company to produce a special production of the tour for Scotland. We've begun some work there already, which has shown that there's a real appetite and a real hunger. We've got some really strong partnerships going in Scotland already. We know that what we do can and will work there. And the play tour will be a really key part of launching our work in Scotland. It's one of the most powerful things we do. It's also one of the most expensive things we do, which is why we need your help. £8,000 will plug the funding gap that we've currently got to enable us to take that to Scotland free of charge to schools. Anything over the 8,000 would be amazing, because there's so much more we can do and there's so much more we need to do. The play is really just the start, and what I want to leave you with is some words that open and close the play, and they're words that Tim and I wrote on the first anniversary of Dan's death. We wrote these, put together these little cards and a sycamore seed and gave them to everybody that came to a special service that we had. This sycamore seed is from the tree that overshadows Dan's grave. Our prayer is that through our words and through the foundation that works in his name, the story of Dan will journey far and wide, just as the spinning sycamore seed does, and that where it lands, it will bear much fruit, growing many good things from this very bad thing. And we'd like to ask you to join us in doing that and spreading those sycamore seeds so much further, all the way to Scotland. So thank you. Okay, so what makes the Daniel Spargo-Mabbs Foundation unique? First and foremost is Dan, who's the face and name of the charity. Dan was incredibly popular in life. Everybody loved Dan. You couldn't help yourself. He was prom king at the end of year 11. And he keeps on engaging his peers with his story because he's so lovely and big-hearted and so much fun. And he could be one of them. He could be one of their friends. I could be their mum. Stories can be so powerful and they stick in people's heads like nothing else. And then other useful things will stick onto them, some of the information we're giving, some of the stuff that they've learnt. And it just gives it a relevance and a context. We're also unique because there's no other organisation that's got this multi-component approach that we have. Drug education that's evidence-based and evaluated and which comes from so many different directions. We're delivering workshops to students, we're training their teachers, we're providing planning and resources so teachers can deliver really effective evidence-based drug education to their students throughout secondary school. We're working with parents and carers. We've got a youth ambassadors programme for older teens, and of course we've got the play. And it means that what we do is flexible to fit into the very different ways that schools organise their timetables and planning. And so that schools can make what we do work for them. No one approach will work for everybody. There is sadly, no silver bullet. But if we can come at it every which way, then we stand the best possible chance of making a difference and keeping them safe, which is what matters to us so much. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Difficult times for many of us, but the DSM Foundation was continuing to do great work. Although at present, of course, everything comes to a grinding halt. But hopefully that will soon change. I've seen the play they put on as a centrepiece and will be taking to Scotland, and it is remarkable. When you see 200 rowdy sixth formers in a small room, and then at the end of this play, they leave in silence, talking quietly about what they've seen, it can make a real change. I think this is something we really should get behind and support. And with money we can do that. So I encourage you to support this tonight. I will start the donations with a pledge of £500. Join me, let's make this work. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Beverly Carpenter and here we are in the isolation outside office. I'm speaking to you from Oblique Arts. We're a small charity based in Cambridge. We set up in 2007 and I'm the founder. In 2011 we became an official charity and our work has kind of gone from strength to strength. We work with the most vulnerable and hard to reach groups in our community. We came together as a group of artists with our own practices, inspired by wanting to really give to our community around us, and over the course of the development of the charity we now deliver to some hard to reach groups, including teenagers across Cambridgeshire. We have a project in East Cambridgeshire at the moment with consultation with 1,000 more vulnerable teenagers, and they're pitching big issues that they're really concerned with, and the county councillors they're meeting us to deliver solutions for those things, which include mainly anxiety, bullying and economic hardship in their families. We're also working with people with learning difficulties, adults with learning difficulties in our mixed bag theatre group that we deliver, and this is really a lifeline for peer-to-peer support, but also for developing their skills, and they have a public performance twice a year and those performances are increasingly well attended and appreciated by the wider community. We work also with older women and people in isolation, and this is particularly difficult at this time. And for a long period of time we've worked with our Gypsy, Roma and Traveller community. They're our biggest ethnic minority in Cambridgeshire, and we offer a number of different services. So we have an advocacy helpline where people can call in to us. We run creative literacy classes for different age groups, including teenagers, and we take our art van out onto the Traveller sites, and do art and engagement with the families on a Saturday morning. So for example, this morning I've been speaking to a woman in Wisbech. She's in isolation. She's a grandmother and she's now homeschooling 5 children. One of the boys, his father is in prison, and the mother has been under huge emotional stress and is not with the family at the present time. We're able to offer them a range of homeschooling options, so we're registered with Education Otherwise, and I can now send her books that are appropriate to his key stage. I can give her an education plan. So we really are trying to deliver it in a more sustainable way to these communities that we work with. And in the longer term we really want to raise our social media presence in able to do this. So today we're asking for you to support us, and we really want to put in place half a day a week for a social media person to deliver our online resources. There'll be many downloadable options for people. They can also then phone us, and there can be follow-up to those activities that are also online. We hope to put in place an administration person that can really take the pressure from our key delivery team, who really want to be delivering face-to-face with our participant group. Last year our participant numbers were 2,300. We have online participation 45,000, and we also go out to festivals and fairs, and we share our work with many wider communities through our public performances and activities. So we hope to have an administration person in place one day a week with the help of your funding, and this will enable us to really gain some stability over the next 2 years, and we really thank you for your support in this. Thank you so much. So the coronavirus is offering a few challenges for our charity. The people we work with are quite vulnerable, and now they're finding themselves in increased isolation, so it's really important that we're able to offer some stability to them through this difficult period. And we hope to do that with our online resources and also our phone helpline. We anticipate that in the next 2 years that the first year will be taken up really with dealing with the impact of the coronavirus and providing our online resources that we hope to provide, but also to provide some stability for our artist tutors who work with us and engage with those specific communities in very particular ways. In the second year we really hope to develop the charity, and we'd like to provide some stability and long-term sustainability by having in place somebody who can on the first instance, manage the social media and our public profile, and in the second case, so that we can also have somebody in place to do the administration, to free up our whole team to be able to work with our participants face to face and make sure that we can really impact their lives and deepen our engagement with them. Thank you.
Hi, I love Oblique Arts. I've always believed that the arts are a tremendous medium, very powerful for improving mental and physical health and bringing people together. And Oblique Arts does this in spades. When I went to Cambridge to meet Beverly, she's the founder and inspirer and artist and some of her team, I was hugely impressed by what they've achieved already with so little funding. And now that things are getting more difficult because of the virus, I think it's going to be harder for them, but I really want them to continue to reach out. I learned from them that Cambridge is not just the rich, wealthy and sophisticated place that I remember from my university days, but has serious pockets of deprivation and a significant Romani and traveller community, and these people all need help. So I'm going to put in the first £300, and I hope very much you can join me. Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed watching those. Thank you very much for taking the time. Each of the charities that you've heard from is hoping to raise somewhere between £6,000 and £8,000. More would be wonderful, but that's the target that we are hoping to achieve. If you'd like to support any of them, and you can find more about their work in the applications that are attached to the email that we sent to you with this video link, you can do so by following the link that you are going to find at the end of this film and in our email. That link will take you through to a pledge form on which you can specify how much money you would like to give to each or all of the charities. It will also give you our bank details so you can make a single payment to the funding network for all your contributions, and we will then make the application for gift aid, which is the 25% uplift that we get from the government if you're a UK taxpayer. That money will be passed on with your pledge to the charities in a single grant that we will make to them on your behalf. We'll keep you updated on how the fundraising totals are going, how we're getting towards that target. We'll send you an email in the next week or so. And of course, as we always do, you will receive an impact report on the impact of your funds on the charities in 12 months' time. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact us at the Funding Network. Our details again are at the end of this film and in the video. Let me finish by thanking you again for taking the time to watch these films. I'm sure you were inspired, as I was, in these uncertain times to hear from people doing such vital and exciting work. Thanks again. Bye-bye.